India has issued a sharp and unambiguous message calling out what it describes as a dangerous escalation in its neighborhood. As tension rises between Pakistan and Afghanistan, New Delhi has stepped in with a firm condemnation, terming the latest airstrikes as an act of aggression that threatens regional stability. The statement came from the Ministry of External Affairs, with spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal making India's position clear. He said the strikes carried out by Pakistan inside Afghan territory have led to civilian deaths and destruction of infrastructure. For India, this is not just a security concern, it is a question of sovereignty. New Delhi has reiterated that Afghanistan's territorial integrity must be respected at all costs. Earlier, India slammed Pakistan at the United Nations for strikes in Afghanistan during Ramadan. India called the attacks hypocritical and violations of international law. The strikes, which Islamabad says target militants, have killed at least 185 civilians, over half women and children, according to UN figures. The condemnation comes amid escalating cross-border clashes and mounting concerns over humanitarian and economic fallout.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, greetings to all on the holy month of Ramadan. My delegation is pleased to join the UN membership to commemorate the International Day to Combat Islamophobia. My delegation strongly condemns violence and hatred in the name of religion, regardless of the religion under question. As a nation where followers of virtually every major world religion coexist peacefully, and a nation that has given birth to 4 major world religions, namely Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, India, more than any other country, is acutely aware of the need for a world free from religious discrimination. The philosophy of Sarva Dharma Samabhava, implying equal respect for all religions, has been the civilizational way of life for India, and one that inspired the secular ethos of the Indian Constitution. Chair, history bears repeated witness to how the politicization of religion does not solve and resolve grievances. However well-intentioned, they risk lending legitimacy to precisely this kind of selective, polarizing narratives that breed further division. The United Nations was conceived as an institution that transcends religion, culture, and politics. Its credibility rests on universality and impartiality. We therefore urge caution against frameworks that exclusively focus on one faith without addressing the broader phenomenon of religiophobia in all its manifestations. This is why the 1981 Declaration on the Elimination of All Forms of Intolerance and of Discrimination based on Religion or Belief remains, in our view, a very balanced and enduring instrument that enshrines the rights of all religious followers without privileging any. The United Nations' greatest contribution to peace and human dignity lies in its efforts to maintain international peace and security, bringing everlasting peace in conflict situation, its development work and humanitarian action, and its promotion of universal human rights, work that is conducted without regard to the faith of those it serves. Global public goods, like sunshine, should be available to one and all, irrespective of affiliations. The UN has built its credibility through tireless work on conflict resolution, poverty alleviation, and protection of civilians. We urge the UN to remain anchored to this founding spirit. I stress that it is important for the UN to take note of the rising trend and dangers of weaponizing religious identity and instrumentalizing it to serve narrow political ends by state and non-state actors alike. India's western neighbor is an excellent example of fabricating imaginative tales of Islamophobia in their neighborhood. One wonders what would brutal repression of Ahmadiyyas in this country be termed, or the large-scale refoulement of the helpless Afghans, or air-bombing campaigns in this holy month of Ramadan. India is home to more than 200 million Muslims, one of the largest Muslim populations in the world. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which our western neighbor has systematically attempted to weaponize against India, has repeatedly made false and baseless allegations against my country. Muslims in India, including those in Jammu and Kashmir, elect their own representatives to speak for them. The only phobia evident here appears to be directed against a multicultural and peaceful coexistence that all communities in India enjoy, including Muslim communities. Such narratives run counter to India's fundamental ethos and reflect instead the sectarianism and the terrorist mentality that this country has perpetuated since its inception. That is a real issue at hand. As we observe the International Day to Combat Islamophobia, India reaffirms its commitment to a world free from religious hatred and violence in all its forms. We urge the UN to channel its time and limited resources towards building inclusive societies grounded in equality, dignity, and the rule of law for every individual of every faith. Thank you, Chair.
The strikes themselves have triggered serious concern. Afghan officials have confirmed casualties across multiple regions, including Kabul, Kandahar, and Paktika. According to government sources in Kabul, several civilians have been killed and many more injured. Key infrastructure has also taken a hit, with reports suggesting that even critical facilities like oil depots were targeted. What makes the situation more volatile is the swift retaliation. Afghanistan has responded with counter-strikes targeting Pakistani military positions in regions like Kohat. This marks a dangerous turn as both sides move from isolated incidents to direct military exchanges. The risk of a wider conflict is now very real. From India's perspective, this escalation fits into a larger pattern. New Delhi has long maintained that instability in Afghanistan has wider consequences for the region. Any attempt to undermine Afghan sovereignty is seen as a threat not just to one country but to the broader balance of power in South Asia. At a time when global attention is divided across multiple conflicts, this development adds another flashpoint. India's response is measured but firm. It has not taken sides militarily, but its diplomatic stance sends a clear signal: respect borders, avoid civilian harm, prevent escalation. The message from New Delhi is simple but significant. In a region already under strain, actions that inflame tensions will only deepen instability. By calling out the strikes so directly, India is positioning itself as a voice of restraint while also drawing a clear line on issues of sovereignty and aggression.